Okay, thank you all for joining us. We are at the top of the hour. We will wait just a moment or two and let others who are coming in get set up, get their audio connected. Hopefully you all can hear the sound that is coming out of my voice, and you can see the slides that are currently on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, and I see Ashley has already started the recording, or Nashla has, so thank you.
I went ahead and started it to be safe. I didn't want to forget.
Yeah, we had someone ask about it, so they'll be happy for that.
Breville, I think we are ready when you are, and we'll monitor the chat if that's okay with you.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, sorry, I can't see the chats. Okay, all right, so we are here to launch the new Florida Shines course catalog feature. We've been working on this for this year, so I'm super excited. I don't know if you can tell. We're here to launch the Zero Textbook Cost Course Indicator, the ZTC course indicator, and most of you hopefully know us at FLVC, so it will take just a quick second to say hello. So go to the next slide, please. For the agenda for today, we will say who we are. Oops, go back. Who we are, how did we get here, what does it look like, and when can you participate? So that's, I think, the most important piece, and we'll land on that at the end. Next slide. So who are we? We are Florida Shines and Open Florida Library Services and Distance Learning plus Student Services coming together. You can see here 2 links for our services. Hopefully you all know tons and tons about us, so we're not going to go into that, but the links are there for you in case you want to learn more about one side of the house if you're unfamiliar with that. Next slide, please. And with Open Florida, I'm here, Rebel Cummings-Sauls. I'm the Director of Digital Services and OER. I would encourage you to join Open Florida. You can see our LibGuide, falsy.libguides.com/Open Florida. And you can see we have a spectrum of open, which fits nicely into the zero textbook cost course indicator definition. So next slide, please. I'm going to pass it over to my other colleagues to say hello.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Rebel. Nashla Dawara here. I oversee the student services area at the Florida Virtual Campus, and our service to students is housed in Florida Shines, floridashines.org. I invite you to visit it if you're not familiar with it, but to give you a quick overview, college and university students in Florida can, on Florida Shines, visit the online course catalog, program catalog. They can learn about our institutions here in Florida. They can apply to take a course at another school as a transient student. They can use our auditing services for what-if audits and different scenarios, including 2+2 programs here in Florida. Ashley, I'll pass it on to you if it's okay for a second. She is our guru of the catalog.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Ashley Timmis, and I work in the student services area alongside with Nashla, and I handle quite a few of the applications that we house on Florida Shines. So, all right, Rebel, I'll pass it back. 。
Thank you so much. And how do we get here? It was with some great collaborators across the state. The textbook cost indicator idea originally came through some of my past experience at K-State. I've added some books here in case you want to go take a look, but we had open and alternative textbooks and the labeling for that, which we included in the course registrar and the course catalog for our institution. Next slide, please. Along with my institution, there were other institutions, colleges, and universities across the nation that were having a huge interest in how we did this indicator, how we were process, what did it look like, and so some states even had state mandates because of presentations that they had saw where these examples were across the nation were kind of highlighted. We brought this information by Sarah Hare, Jessica Kirshner, and Michelle Reed. Here you can see making it open and affordable courses. There's best practices and case studies in addition that kind of led up to our efforts. Next slide, please.
Rebel, can you hear us? Yeah, I will say your
Okay, I'll try
mic
to
is
hold the
going
mic
in and out.
closer. Okay, let me know if this works. If not, I will try to switch to a different signal.
Yeah, and it sounds like you may be a little bit delayed in getting our audio and slides as well. It's a tiny bit better.
Okay, I'm going to try this and see if holding it closer works better. Maybe it's a pickup of stronger sound. Hopefully this will work. So we started with the Textbook Affordability and Open Educational Resources Steering Committee. I kind of brought this idea to them and told them about my experiences. So they officially made a recommendation and approval of moving forward on a zero textbook cost indicator idea or icon. We also pushed this out to our Open Florida community, which had positive feedback and support of the idea. We continued on with open discussions with all 40 member institutions, and this led to a student survey to really push for that student feedback on what an icon might look like or what they preferred. So we did survey approximately 100 students in both colleges and universities, and the final icon the final logo here was approved by Textbook Affordability OER Steering and the MCLS reviews. So next slide, please. It took us a year through promotion, or we've been a year over this effort throughout the state and within institutional efforts. So we had the Open Florida Live Guide. We pushed this effort through the Textbook Affordability OER steering committees and the member services. Our library leaders or OER point persons from all institutions were given this information. So hopefully they were sharing it out as well. We also shared this through institutional visits and interviews, and ultimately to a DLSS, the Distance Learning Student Services member request. This member request was brought to the executive leadership support, and they did approve going forward with this idea. But they wanted to look at it and see what they thought and what the members thought and more input from a broader audience, because the initial efforts you can see were clearly on the library side of the house. So next slide, please. So bringing this to distance learning and student services, we really saw that this was a statewide effort with national impact. We could see that we could produce some state identified growing trends. This was the first initiative like this in the country to include both colleges and universities in the same catalog. New York was the closest thing that I could find, but they are still separated. This will provide these for courses and our institutions alike, and we hope to have usability testing to determine effect on course selection. and also how it impacts our FloridaShines.org visitors. Of course, my patient collaborate and learn from each other, and that's what I hope that we have done and succeeded in. Next slide, please. And created for this course catalog oversight work group. The group conveyed, like I said, from colleges and universities from both sides of the house. So we had individuals from distance learning, student services, instructional designing, anyone and everyone from the member institutions were invited to join this work group. And working together, this group was asked to identify indicators, to define what those indicators meant so that they could be highlighted through our affordable in the state of Florida, and then make recommendations on the classification, also including the use and design of these indicators. The final request for this group was to collect those best practices, implementation, and catalog upload processes from our peer institutions. Next slide, please. And I'll end with a final note of gratitude to the work group who came together and started this process. You can see here there's a wide range from colleges and universities across our state. I wanted to pay homage with our state map as well in the background, so I'll pass it over to you. Thank you all.
Awesome. So I will, Rebel, I don't know if you're going through a storm. I know we have a storm going through Tallahassee at the moment, so that may be the reason, but I'll do a thumbs up. Hopefully you can hear me well. So thanks, Rebel, for that intro. Great. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. For that intro, like she said, we were very lucky to have representation from academic affairs, e-learning, digital learning, student services, and libraries as part of this work group. So what I want to share with you as a second part of this webinar is the activities of that work group. Now that you have the background in some of their outcomes, share with you where you can find all the background information and all the outcomes that this group has put together. So next slide, Ashley. Again, I think having the work group from different areas gave it a very diverse perspective from the big picture and strategy down to the logistics. Now for FLVC in our group, we wanted to leverage previous efforts, not just the national and state research that Rebel had put together, but also leverage efforts like the textbook affordability survey and partner with the work group, taking into consideration the existing Florida initiatives to define an indicator that we could use across the state, to highlight the local institution efforts, and also on the student side through Florida Shines, increase access for students. So we started with that in mind and we began to work from there. So next slide. This is the timeline of what the work group did. It looks easy and time has certainly gone by very fast, but the work group had their first kickoff meeting in March. We met every 2 weeks, and as a first step for them, we gathered and reviewed all of the national research that Rebel's group had gathered and put together, just to get a feel for what was happening nationally and here in Florida, what other states had done as well. So from there, we established the fact that there was indeed a need to implement the indicators. So we approved the implementation plan, and then we moved into the actual sort of major pieces, if you will, which were defining the icon or the criteria, the definition for what would qualify as zero textbook costs for a course. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then we worked on the design of the icon and studied what Rebel had brought forth and a few other options. Now, at that point, we also realized that we had schools that were very far ahead here in Florida with this initiative, and they had a very close to finished process in place for collecting and gathering this information at their campus. But we also have schools here in Florida that are just learning about these initiatives and want to do something on their campus. So with that in mind, while the development team was working inside the catalog, the work group started to develop best practices. That happened closer to August. And then we tested the functionality. And finally, we worked on creating a continuation plan to track updates, to track changes, track any external requests that come in, essentially creating a governance and a procedure for an annual review of this process now that it's in place. So sounds really easy, but like Rebel said, it was a lot of hard work in very few months. Ashley, I'll ask you to go to the next slide to tell you where we are today. Well, today we're here at this webinar sharing this information with you. Tomorrow, we begin the upload process for institutions. So institutions will now be able to add this indicator to their upload for courses. And starting October 1st, that information will be visible for students. So students October 1st will be able to search the catalog for spring 2022 courses, and they'll be able to see those courses that have indicators there. After we go live, then starting in November, we do plan what you see in yellow are sort of planned activities. We plan on running some user testing and gathering feedback from institutions to see the usability, and again, gather any feedback that students have in using the catalog and having this additional indicator as part of their course selection. In January, we plan to, and I apologize, actually, January 2022, we plan to do an analysis and present the results to the work group and start to run some reports in terms of taking a look at how many institutions are loading these indicators, what the numbers look like, just for an internal analysis, and then run another cycle of updates. If there's any changes, anything we learned from the user testing and the feedback, we definitely want to implement that for the next year's cycle of uploads as well. So that's sort of a year in review from this work group activities and timeline. Ashley, I'll ask you to go to the next slide, which really takes us into, I want to say probably the longest discussion we had with the work group that took a few weeks, and that was finalizing the definition and the criteria for what counts as zero textbook cost. This is an icon that can be placed with any course section that has course materials that are at no cost to the students. And so once we had that definition, which wasn't super difficult, we did come down to the criteria. And again, I just want to reiterate how important it was that we had a group of members that came from a very high level strategic perspective down to the logistics, because they thought of everything. And so this is what you see here is the zero textbook cost criteria for Florida's courses. And as you can see, the first bullet is that it has all materials, course materials associated with the section have to be zero cost to the student, and that includes ancillaries, homework, quizzes, etc. They need to be freely accessible to the students without barriers. And one of the areas that I want to highlight, we'll share a link with you as part of this webinar so you can get a copy and see the definition and the criteria online. But one of the areas that had a little bit of discussion and took some time was what you see highlighted here in the box. And one of them was that students have access to the materials on the first day of class and through course completion, and preferably that the student has a way to retain, download, print, keep that information with them as part of the class at a minimal through degree completion or separation from the institution. Part of the concern with students just having access to the resources from the beginning to the end of the class is, for instance, nursing students that may have to prepare for a clinical test, or students that need some of the material after they've taken the class. It is preferable that students have a way to either print, download, or retain that information for future use with their educational goals. So that was a point of discussion for the work group, and you'll see the final drafted here. The next part of it, you'll see the other points, but what came up for the second half of this criteria was really about optional or recommended resources. And so we got into a discussion about required course materials and recommended or optional resources. And those may be for cost, but they should not impede or should not be necessary for students' success in the class. They really should be supplemental or optional resources. And so other required supplies that are listed here, for example, also came up, and those are not considered part of the textbook or materials cost. And so you'll see that highlighted here. Those were long conversations, particularly with things like a calculator that a student may need to buy for multiple courses and so on. So the final product is what you see in this definition as well. Like I said, I'll share with you where all of this is housed on our website so you can take a look at what's available. But I wanted to stop at those couple of points that certainly took a lot of thought and several meetings from our members to really define every word, every word, and etc. So next slide, Ashley. The other piece that we went through, you notice Rebel showed you an icon, and that icon was a black and white textbook. And we went back and forth through, it looks really nice when you have it in a big picture or in a big image, but in the catalog for students, realistically, this is what it looks like. And so the black and white in a small box was very difficult to read, was very difficult to understand. Perhaps we thought that we could run into some copyright issues as well as confusion with students thinking that the $ with X through it could mean that it was a free course. And so we ran into several of those issues. We know from experience and stats that students are searching for courses on their phone. So now you're making the size of the screen even smaller. And so we decided to keep consistent with other indicators that we have implemented in the catalog, like what you see here, HQ or Q. Those are quality and high quality reviewed courses. And so we kept consistent with that. And in comparison, the work group decided that it was best to stay consistent and just provide the letters ZTC. The students do see a question mark that they can hover over and get more information about it. And then they have all the details about what that means for them. So that's part of how the icon came about and what you see there as well. I think if you look at the top picture, you'll see the HQ, which was already an indicator, and then 3 original iterations of what we thought could work, and then we landed on the bottom picture. So just to give you an idea, that's what students will see when they look for courses. Next slide. Okay, so now in addition to that, to support all of the efforts of uploading and what we're showing to students, the work group put together an informational website with these components. There are 4 components there, and again, we'll share those links with you in the chat and afterwards with the recording. But you'll find the official definition for zero textbook cost on the website, as well as frequently asked questions. So there are many questions that have come up, anything that members have asked or they've received questions about, we've included in that FAQ. Certainly open to feedback if you think there's something missing. We want to make sure it's included in those frequently asked questions. There's also some resources that I'll share with you. And if you want to learn more about the work group members and where they're from, that's also located on the website. In terms of resources to support those of you that are going to be uploading or starting this process or this effort at your institution, you'll see that in the resources page, there are 3 main resources, if you will. Rebel talked a little bit about the best practices document, and that's really a document that the work group put together for those of you that are thinking about implementing this at your campus. That document, Ashley, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, gives you all of the background information that Rebel shared with you earlier in terms of national research, how some states are doing it, how other schools are doing it, and then what you need to do to start this at your campus, from those that need to be at the table to gathering the data and uploading into the catalog. So it's really a sort of step-by-step, if you will, of best practices for campus implementation. We hope you find it helpful. So we'll send you the link to that. You can get to it directly from the website. The next resource you'll find, it's actually what Ashley is going to share with you today, specifically for those of you that upload this information to the catalog. And so if you're in charge of uploading online courses to the FloridaShines catalog, this step-by-step guide gives you a step-by-step of how to upload, how to walk through the validation, what the values need to be. The process is essentially the same as Ashley's going to share, but this walks you through it step-by-step. Instead of the video, you prefer to have this PDF. And the final guide is actually a link to get you to the administrator module sign-in. Now, this may be where because we have so many people from different departments here, we may have people from the library side, the student affairs side, academic affairs. The FloridaShines course catalog is managed by a group of individuals at your institution. That means that the information we show on the catalog is uploaded by someone at your institution. Someone there is uploading the courses every semester, so they're part of the courses that show up for students. So to get to this module, you do have to have an account as part of the FloridaShines catalog piece. If you are not sure whether you have an account or not, or you're not sure about who at your campus is in charge of this process, you're welcome to contact us at catalog@flvc.org. Thank you, Rebel. And we would be happy to tell you at your institution who's in charge of this process. Typically, this lives in IR or with the registrars or with the e-learning wing of your institution, because they're online courses in the catalog. And so it really depends on how your institution is structured. So up until this point is general information. I'm going to pass it on to Ashley, who's then going to walk you through, those of you that upload courses into the catalog, how you do that once you're logged into the module. So Ashley.
All right. Thank you so much, Nashla. I really appreciate this. And as Nashla mentioned, I'm going to walk you through the course upload process, how it works. And then also I'm going to highlight the addition of the zero textbook cost indicator within the FloridaShines catalog. All right, so once you are logged in to your account, and again, I know Nashla just mentioned this, but please, if you are unsure who at your institution is the right person to be talking to about the upload process, catalog@flvc.org. This is something that we monitor very frequently, so you will get a response very quickly. So once you're logged in, this is what the administrator homepage looks like. So as you can see, you're able to see the uploads and data tab, which that's where all the upload fun happens. You have My Institution, which is where you're able to update and make any changes you have to your institution profile. We also have a setup, which you can access institution settings. We have reports, which is, of course, where you're able to pull any of your institution reports. And then we also have catalog search, and that allows you to search current courses, programs, or profiles. And we also have the user guide section, which is a really great tool. It's where all of your informational resources are. Also, I do want to mention that we post some really important dates and details on this homepage as well. And do pay attention, because sometimes we will pop up a message should something have to change. But we do here post when we request for your institution profile to be reviewed, which is May 1 through July 1. Also, your program upload happens from May 1 to July 1, and then courses run on the term. So you've got your fall, spring, and summer, and just the most important dates, again, because it is 3 times a year, and we always send out reminders. We try very hard to send multiples letting you know the upload's coming, and then we also let you know once the upload window is open and right before it's getting ready to close. All right, so I'm I'm going to move right along here. And I know that I had mentioned this, but the user guide section, this is an extremely important section within the admin. So the admin module, excuse me. So you have your data administrator user guide. Here is all the details you need to know about uploading your online courses. A lot of great screenshots. We have very detailed information. And again, all you need to know is really right there in that one document. So we also have our data standards document. And here is a detailed schema of all the data that's going to be collected. So you'll see the field names, you'll see descriptions, you'll see how it's validated, whether or not it's required. Again, we try to be very detailed so there is no questions. And then also we provide a sample template. That way all the fields are already there for you. You just have to fill in the blanks for your upload. All right, so I know Nashla had mentioned this, but really the process is not changed. All that we're doing is we're adding this additional field for the zero textbook cost. So the field name is actually textbook cost indicator. And as you can see, it is not a required field. It's a text field. The field size is 50. There is currently no default. And as you can see, it says under notes, indicate if this course section meets the zero textbook cost criteria, which means the section requires course materials at no cost to the student. And then we also have listed the validation, which it must be a valid textbook cost indicator value. If true, the value of the field must be 0 with a capital Z, textbook with a capital T, and cost with a capital C. I say that because this is case sensitive. Should you enter it incorrectly, you will receive an error. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware it's 0 textbook cost. So that way, hopefully no one will run into any issues. And we also have linked over to the definition. Just in case anybody has any questions, you can head right on over to the definition. All right, so once the file is ready for upload, the data admin will select uploads and data, and then upload courses. And once you are moving along in the process, you're going to see this upload page right here. I do want to mention academic year is a requirement. So for this example, I have 2022 spring, which is crazy to say. You also have to select your upload type, whether it's going to be an Excel file or a CSV, and then you will choose the file that you want to upload. Of course, it kind of connects over to your computer and allows you to choose which file. Once you have selected the appropriate file, you will then click upload. All right, so I do want to mention I did a test file only. This is strictly a test file. I did not mess with anyone's data. I just wanted to give you guys some examples of what it could look like should you receive any errors while doing the upload process. So in this example, we do have a few errors. When you receive an error within the validation, you must fix the error. You will not be able to complete your upload should you have errors that were not fixed. So you do have two options here. If you would like, you can update your file, your Excel file, once you've realized, okay, well, I know what my issues are. I see my errors. Let me fix those, and then you can re-upload. Or for a very simple way, you are able to fix any errors within the catalog itself. So here I have circled both of the errors. So here, one of the fields is only 0 textbook and another is 0 cost. So again, that is not the true field name. So you can see here we have the 0 textbook cost, which is correct. That's why you see no error. So again, it's something super simple. We're able to fix that. So you are able to click on the error, the red box that says error, and you're actually given a pop-up screen, which is super nice. And it will let you know what the error is, and it will give you options on how to actually fix that error. So in this instance, you will want to select 0 textbook cost and then OK, and it will lead you over, once you have fixed all of your errors, to this beautiful screen right here, which is your validation summary. And again, I know that I mentioned this, but do know you are not able to complete your upload should you have any errors that have not been fixed. But again, the catalog is built to try to be as easy as possible. So it does provide that drop-down menu and you're able to choose which option is the correct option. So once you are on the validation screen, you're able to kind of see a summary of what you've just done. So for example, only on this test file, I uploaded 11 courses and I uploaded 11 sections. So I'm like, I know that that's correct. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I am able to agree that I have reviewed and I know that this is accurate data that I'm uploading. So I will click on the I agree, and then we will complete the import. And again, once you've completed that import, you are ready to go. And I do want to mention this as well. Nashla had previously mentioned, but once you have completed your import, the data is there. You're ready to go. But do remember that the term windows do work a little bit different. So should you upload, say, for example, on September 15th, it will not be visible to the user until October 1. So I don't want you to think that something has happened and it's not accurate. We have to wait till that term visibility does kick in. But if you've uploaded and you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. If you want to just say, hey, I want to make sure this looks okay, we can always do anything we need to on the back end to help as well. So that's a very high level overview of what it looks like uploading into the catalog. So now I'm going to just briefly kind of talk about what the display looks like to the end user. So here you will click on Succeed in College, and then in the drop-down menu, you'll have Learn Online, and then you will want to select Search Now. So this is gonna get you into the catalog itself. And here is basically a landing page, and it pulls all of the courses available to the students. And on the left-hand side, you are able to search. There's specific search criteria you can choose in that left-hand navigation as well. So if you want to be very specific about the particular term you're looking for, or if it's a specific course you're looking for, you can even choose a course within a certain area of where you're located. And so also along those lines, FLVC has added a new feature within the search refinement of the catalog. You will now be able to specifically search just for a zero textbook cost course. So again, here are just a few examples of what it would look like once you've selected the zero textbook course. Any of the courses available will generate through selecting this. If you want to get down a little deeper, you definitely can. You can do a specific institution and then select whatever zero textbook cost courses they may have, or vice versa. If you want to see a full listing and then go down by institution, you are able to do that as well. So here we have the final display for the user. You can see where we have the zero textbook cost icon with the question mark, which once you hover over that, it does tell you it's a zero textbook cost course. Also, when you select more details, we have the icon available for the student to see. We have the title, which is the zero textbook cost, and the definition. So again, the student can see all of the information that they need. We have also linked over to the zero textbook cost webpage. So again, if a student, for example, is like, I have no idea what this is, they're able to find all of that information that they need. Or if it's just something very specific that they want to maybe match a few different courses, they are able to do that as well. So again, we wanted this to be extremely easy to understand and very visually friendly. So there is, again, no questions when the students are looking through the courses. And to be honest with you all, that is about all that I have. I know if everyone will just make sure that they've been checking the chat, both Nashla and Rebel have added in some really, really important links. And again, we can share all of this afterwards as well. But I think we would like to now open the floor up to questions. Should anybody have any? I do know we went, pretty fast. This is a lot of great information for you all to have, and we have a lot of resources out there available. And we can connect you to anyone at your institution that you might need to chat with about the upload. So again, we appreciate and would love to hear from you all and any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Ashley. And so we'll ask, I see a couple of hands up while you're gathering your questions. I just wanted to say we're really excited about this collaboration. I do want to reiterate that this is an optional field. You're not required to include this information. This is not going to stop you from uploading in the catalog. So for those of you that are starting at your school, you can use the best practices documents to see what you need to do at your campus. And then for those of you that are ahead and have a process in place on how to gather this data, then it's a matter of finding the catalog administrator at your school so that you can start uploading that starting tomorrow. So I do see, Josh, you have a question there. So.
Yes, so someone else, another department handles our catalog upload, but we have the information on our ZTC courses. Seems like I saw somewhere that we can do an export from the catalog and add that column as well as the quality indicator column in and do a re-upload to update those courses. Did I read that correctly? I think I was reading a guide that was written for the quality indicators, but then I extrapolated out in my mind that I should be able to do that for both indicators.
Yeah, you can export your file from the catalog. So it'll give you what's currently there. You can export it, make the changes that you need, and then upload it back up. Mm-hmm.
And along those lines too, Josh, the template that is available, it does have both the quality indicator and the the textbook cost indicator included. But if you do export your file, you can add those two columns on the end and the catalog, as long as they're very specific to what the field should be. You're able to easily do that, and it will upload.
Right, okay, but I don't have access to my zip codes and all those other things that go into the primary upload, but we do have the other information on the quality indicator and the ZTC, so that's probably how we'll end up doing it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example of a workflow for an institution. If somebody else uploads the bulk of it and another department wants to export that and add the missing pieces, you can certainly do that. Yeah. Thanks, Josh. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to also mention along those lines, do know though, and I know, Josh, this was a great example because he said he would work with that team. Should your department only handle the textbook cost indicator, you will have to work with the other department that provides the rest of the data, and you will want to only upload one file because the file will be overwritten. And we don't want you to upload just the textbook cost indicator and not have any of the other information. So you'll just want to work together to create that one file that will be uploaded into the catalog.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ashley. Any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'll echo what Rebel has said in the chat here. Just really, as you guys saw, the first half plus of this webinar was really about all the work that the work group members put in to make this happen. So we're really appreciative of all the hours they spent meeting with us and going through word by word on that definition, the design options, and all the documentation that they've put together, bringing their expertise from their institution and as members of other groups in the state. So we're really thankful for for the work of the work group. So I see a couple of people from the work group on the list of members today. So we just want to say thank you, and actually we'll continue to work together as we gather more feedback and make this effort even better. So thank you. Let's check and see if there are any final questions here. Okay.
Or comments or concerns or thoughts in general.
I am going to post flvc.org, catalog at FLVC. Oh, Ujwal.
Hey, thank you very much, Nashla and Ashley and Rebel, for such a great presentation and representing the work of this work group so meticulously. My question is, let's say after uploading the initial Excel file to the FloridaShines Catalog, if an institution finds out that one of the course was not properly indicated or described as ZTC or not, is there a quick way to fix one section on the site, or do we have to export the whole file, correct it, and import it back?
I'm going to see if Ashley has an answer for this.
No, Ujwal, the best way to do it would be, I know I hate, even if it's just one course, but if you'll, export what you've currently got, you can make that minor change, and you should be able to import it again. And you can do it however many times you need to throughout the semester as well. That's one thing I know we sometimes get questions on, oh, I've already done my upload, but we need to make some changes. The catalog is always open for you all to update. The most important thing we all want is for the most updated and accurate information to be to the students. So again, you are able to make those changes in the middle of the semester. I hope that answered that correctly, or what you were asking. Okay, thank you.
I see a thumbs up. And definitely check out our FAQs, Ujwal. I know this was from a different perspective, a topic of conversation on a process that we have in place. If, for instance, students find a discrepancy in the catalog, if they encounter a section listed as zero textbook cost, but then they get to the institution and it's not, we've listed a process for that in the FAQ, so students can report that to us, and then immediately we will contact the institution to fix that error. So we have that in place as well. Yeah, great question. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Rebel, Ashley, if you have anything else to add today.
I don't think so. I really appreciate you all joining us today. Again, one last time, catalog at flvc.org. If you guys have any questions or any additional information we can provide, myself and Stephen and Nashla, we monitor that, so that email account, so we will always be able to get back with you and help you wherever you need. So definitely shoot us an email and we will be able to respond, and again, let you know if there's someone at your institution that we could connect you with, or if you just have some general questions about how this all works, we're always available to help.
Yeah, I just wanted to also just say thank you all. Thank you for attending. I hope we can help you in your efforts locally if there's anything that we can do. There were a few recommendations of workflows for institutions, or if there's other ideas, as the one that Josh suggested that we could add to our documentation to help others. I would encourage you to share those. Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you, Nashla and Ashley, for presenting with me today. If you have any questions, always let us know. And then anybody who's on the library side, if you accidentally email help@flvc.org, we will get that right over to the catalog people too. So don't worry, you always get help.
Yes, you do. Well, thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We'll follow up with a recording and then the links from today's webinar. And we look forward to more collaborations in the future. Have a great day.